And there are patriots everywhere. If you think you're safe revealing that you're an enemy of this republic, you better think twice, because your secretary might be a patriot. The person you're talking to might be a patriot pretending to be a socialist. If you're a police chief or a member of some law enforcement agency or agency of federal government who is a socialist planning to bring about this world government over the ashes of the United States of America, let me assure you, and make no mistake about it, you will be identified, and you are in earshot, and the capability of patriots to identify exactly who you are. And Madame Defarge, ladies and gentlemen, is knitting furiously. Again. And then when the execution of Timothy McVeigh occurred, once again, prior to and immediately following, the same thing occurred again, and this word extremist was used over and 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 over again. And now we're being bombarded with messages that Osama bin Laden is planning to attack the United States of America and Israel. And I'm telling you, be prepared for a major attack. But it won't be Osama bin Laden. It will be those behind the New World Order who once again want to take the guns and the freedom away from the American people, because we're the only ones left in the world who can oppose the destruction of freedom in the world and the implementation of a one-world totalitarian socialist government, and that is the goal. Now, how stupid can you be to believe that Timothy McVeigh was the mastermind of the destruction of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City, and just he and Terry Nichols, who appears to be somewhat of a fool, plotted, planned, obtained all the different materials, put together a bomb of such force that it brought down what we call in the military a hard target, a target held up by steel, reinforced, concrete columns, and he had no help. No help. And that there really was no person called John Doe number 2, that was all a mistake, and the drawings and the pictures they put out were not real people, and that was all a mistake. Well, I know that's a lie, because Michael Brescia, who is John Doe number 2, the spitting image of the drawings that they put out, wearing the exact same cap that was worn by the man in the drawings that they put out, with the same tattoo on his left arm, stood in front of me for 10 minutes and talked to me in the company of Timothy McVeigh. And Tim McVeigh was not the leader. Tim McVeigh probably didn't say more than 25 or 30 words during the entire time. Michael Brescia did all of the talking, and the last thing he said before they left in their green Mercury Marquis station wagon with a puke yellow interior was, "Watch Oklahoma City." If anyone was in charge, at least on that day, it was Michael Brescia, John Doe number 2, not ever Timothy McVeigh. They told us during that conversation that they were setting out on a mission to make things better in this country, and that they had the approval of the United States Army, who had implanted them with computer chips, had given them their blessings, and knew exactly where they were and what they were doing all the time. Michael Brescia showed me a place behind his left shoulder and said there was a computer chip that had been implanted under his skin by the United States Army. I felt it. There was something under his skin. Without a doubt, it was hard. It felt like it was square. It wasn't very big, but I do not personally know what it was. Timothy McVeigh said he had one implanted in his buttock. Timothy McVeigh said he had one implanted in his buttock and wanted me to confirm that it was actually there. I declined for obvious reasons. I wish today that I had not been so squeamish. I wish that I had personally checked his buttock to make sure that there was indeed something implanted where he said that it was. But I did not. So I cannot vouch that there was anything in Timothy McVeigh's buttock, but there definitely was something behind Michael Bresch's left shoulder. Now, lest you think that I'm making all of this up, there were a total of 8 people, including me, not counting Timothy McVeigh and Michael Brescia, in the research center when Tim Lesperance brought them in to introduce them to us. Tim Lesperance is one of those people. His son Peter was there. His wife Katie runs Katie's Country Kitchen. Used to be in St. John's. I believe it's now in Snowflake, Arizona. Granny Gosling was there. She was in her 80s. I don't know if she's still alive or not. I pray and hope that she is. But then she was in poor health, so she may have died since then. Bart Chow, Michael Aponte, his wife Sharon, were all there. They were working on the newspaper, Veritas. They took part in the conversation. They listened. We all gathered round. There were 2 other visitors to the research center that day. One, I believe I can find his identity in our database because he was a member of our intelligence organization and had donated some tables and file cabinets. The other, I don't remember who he was or where he came from or anything. He was just there. Maybe somebody else does. So I was not the only witness there. So, FBI Director Free, you are a damn bold-faced liar when you claim that there is no John Doe number 2 and that you claim that you do not know who he is. He's a federal informant, and that's why shortly after they issued the drawings identifying John Doe number 2, the FBI supervisors told all their agents to stop looking for him and to forget about him. He did not exist. Because all of a sudden they realized that John Doe number 2 was one of their very own informants. And that he was already in protective custody. Louis Freeh, you are a bold-faced liar. The FBI is a subversive organization, has been for many, many years. They are a partner in taking down this country. Timothy McVeigh did not plan, nor did he put together, nor did he blow up the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building, although he was a witting fool recruited by someone on the grounds of patriotism. I'm sure he was told that he was going to help squash internal dissidence and terrorism in this country. I'm also sure that he didn't believe that the bomb was really going to go off. I'm certain, just as sure as the day I'm standing here, that he probably believed that if it did go off, it would go off before anyone reported to work, or he believed that it would never go off at all. Why would he take credit for it when he's on death row and he knows he's going to be executed? Hell. Why not at that point? But I don't think he did it for that reason. I think he played his role right to the very end, and I think the reporter that reported what she saw and the other reporters who said they never could tell if Timothy McVeigh actually died or not, there was never a point where they could tell that he was dead. And she said that even after, listen to me, even after he was pronounced dead, he was still breathing. He was still breathing. Dead men don't breathe. No coroner, no doctor, nobody in the world can explain that. Nobody. Now we know that she is changing her testimony because somebody got to her and she's scared, and you can hear it in her voice. I spoke to her personally, and as soon as I brought up the subject, you could hear her voice changed, and there was fear, deadly fear in her voice. And she never denied what she had originally said, but she told me that she had probably misinterpreted what she saw. Typical of the history of these people. She knows if she sticks to what she told in the beginning as the truth, she will surely die. If you listen to the testimony of all the other witnesses, they said the same thing. There was no point where they could ever tell that Timothy McVeigh was dead. Well, if I was standing there watching, I would know when he was dead. He would be dead when he quit breathing. That's what I would watch for. That's what any sane, intelligent person would watch for. But no one who watched Timothy McVeigh's execution could tell us that he ever stopped breathing. Nobody. Nor could anyone tell us that they actually saw a point where they knew that he was dead. Until they were told by the medical examiner who pronounced him dead that he was dead. And then they believed it only because he told them, not because they had any proof that it was true. There was no autopsy. The body went straight from the prison, or so they tell us, to a morgue where it was instantly cremated. How could they do that in a state that requires all homicides to be autopsied? What is a homicide? Any death brought about by the hand of man, including executions. Whoa! How about that? Did you know that the state wherein he was executed requires all homicides to undergo an autopsy? Yet that did not happen in that state. Why? Because the feds claimed jurisdiction, and it was not a state execution. Now, get this, folks. The feds have no jurisdiction over anything that happened in Oklahoma City on April the 19th, 1995. Period. The ground that the federal courthouse sits upon, or the federal building, I should say, was never deeded and ceded by the legislature of the state of Oklahoma to the federal government. Therefore, the federal government had no jurisdiction whatsoever over that crime. The Constitution states unequivocally that a criminal shall be tried in the state wherein the crime occurred. Yet he was tried in Colorado. Where was he executed? He wasn't executed in Oklahoma or Colorado. How about that? No autopsy, instant cremation. Sound familiar? Complete devastation of all of the evidence of the Alfred P. Muir Federal Building. No independent, no outside, no civilian, no state investigation was allowed of the bombing site whatsoever. The building was razed, blown up, and guess how they had to blow it up to bring it down? They had to put shaped charges on the remaining pillars to bring that building down. Heck, why didn't they do just like Tim McVeigh did and pull up with a, Ryder rent-a-truck and with 4,000 pounds of bullshit in it and light a match? Why indeed? Why didn't they just stack up some fertilizer inside and blow those up? Because you can't blow up a hard target with a cratering charge, which is what fertilizer is. Ammonium nitrate. And so the feds never looked for John Doe number 2. In fact, they ordered their agents not to look for him and sent out